Okay, so in the previous lesson, we started talking about how to solve systems of equations, and we talked about the fact that there's going to be three different methods. Well, what I've done is I put together a little list here so you can see what those methods are, and you can look at what we did in the previous lesson with graphing. Essentially what you're doing is you're graphing the equations to figure out where the common solution is, and wherever they intersect at, that's the solution to that system of equations. Because remember, to solve a system of equations, what essentially we're finding is what value for x and what value for y would be the same for both of those equations, or all three, or however many equations that we're looking at. So for this when we look at graphing, we're looking for the intersection point, because that would be where the x and y are going to be the same for both of those equations. Now today we're going to be looking at substitution. So yesterday, for example, in your assignment, you had to graph these two equations, y equals 1/2 x minus 1.5 and y equals 2x plus 3. You had to graph those to figure out where the intersection point was to find the solution that way. Well, by using substitution, what we're going to do is we're going to set these two equations equal to each other to figure out where the common solution is going to be. And to do that, we're going to substitute one equation in for the other. Because when you think about it, when we say y equals, we're saying y is the same as 1/2 x minus 5, or 1.5. And here we're saying y is the same as 2x plus 3. Well, if y is the same as that value, you can substitute one in for the other, meaning I could substitute 1/2 x minus 1.5 in here for y, because that's what y is the same as. So I'm going to say 1/2 x minus 1.5 equals 2x plus 3. So now I just solve this equation to figure out what the common x is going to be. So I could do that by subtracting 1/2 from both sides. I'm sorry, 1/2 x from both sides. When you do that, you get negative 1.5 equals, and 2 minus 1/2 would just be 1.5x plus 3. Subtract 3 from both sides, and you get negative 4.5 equals 1.5x. Divide both sides by 1.5 when you get x equals a negative 3. Now that's not our final answer, because remember yesterday when we talked about graphing, we always had our solution as a coordinate with an x value and a y value. So we are not done yet. We still have to figure out what y is going to equal when x equals negative 3. Well, the nice thing is you can put this negative 3 into either equation to figure out what y is going to be. So to do that, let's put negative 3 into this first equation. So it's going to be y equals 2 times negative 3 plus 3. Well, when you do that, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, plus 3 is negative 3. So our solution to this equation would be that your x value is going to be negative 3, your y value is also going to be negative 3. So in a nutshell, that's how we use substitution. Now let's go to our notes and see some other applications to this. So as far as what you can put in these blanks here, tables and graphs can be used to solve systems, but they do not always give exact solutions. Remember, we talked about that yesterday, the fact that when we graph, sometimes we're going to have to be rounding, we're going to have to estimate. It doesn't always give us the exact solution. So that's why we need another method, and we're going to focus today on that other method being substitution. Okay, so let's start by looking at a story problem. The Pleaseville Bandits Sports Stadium seats 60,000 people. Suppose 60 tickets are reserved for the two teams. The home team gets 4 times as many tickets as the visiting team. Let H be the number of tickets for the Bandits and V be the number of tickets for the visiting team. How many tickets does each team receive? Now this is kind of a tricky question because there's some what we would call extraneous solutions here. If you look at what the focus of the problem is, we're trying to figure out how many tickets each team receives. And we know that there's only 600 tickets that are specifically reserved for the team members. This often happens in football, for example, where the home team gets this number of tickets for their family and friends to be able to come and watch them play, and the visiting team gets a certain amount as well. Now, they don't get the whole stadium to themselves, so the fact that the stadium seats 60,000 people is extraneous, is an extraneous or extra piece of information there. So we're going to look at the rest of this now to be able to come up with a system of equations. Now, story problems can be kind of tricky, so you need to look through this. So it says, suppose 600 tickets are reserved for 2 teams. That right there is an equation. What we're going to do is we're going to let H be the number of tickets for the Bandits, or for the home team, the Bandits, and V be the number of tickets for the visiting team. So if that's the case, and there's 600 tickets reserved for the 2 teams, that means the number of tickets that the home team gets plus the number of tickets that the visiting team gets is going to equal 600 total tickets. Now we're going to have a second equation. The second equation represents this next sentence. The home team gets 4 times as many tickets as the visiting team. Well, that means the home team is going to get more than the visiting team, and it's how much more? It's going to be 4 times more. So 4 times more than what the visiting team gets. So now this is our system of equations. So now we're going to solve this. Now, yesterday we would have solved this by graphing it. But to graph this, you'd have to get, if you're going to do it on your calculator, you'd have to get one of these variables by itself. We'd have to take the first one and subtract v from both sides, and then go to a graphing calculator, graph it, and hope that it intersects at a nice intersection point. But for this one, we don't need our calculators. What we're going to do is we're going to take this. We know that h is the same as 4v, so I can take that 4v and put that in there for h. So in other words, I could say it's 4v plus v equals 600. Well, now this is real easy because 4v plus v is 5v. Divide both sides by 5 and I get v equals 120. So I know that the visiting team gets 120 tickets. Now I just need to figure out how many tickets the home team gets. Well, if I know that, I can plug the fact that I have 120 tickets in for the visiting team into either equation. Obviously, the second one looks like it'll be the easiest. So to find out how many tickets the home team gets, you just take 4 times 120, and you get 480 tickets. Now you want to make sure that your answer meets both of the qualifications, because we know now that, yeah, sure enough, 4 times 120 gives me 480. But if I add these together, do I get a total of 600 tickets? Sure enough, 120 plus 480 does give me 600, so I know that I've got the right answer here. Now this next problem is, again, it's a little tricky here how to set this up. It says Abel Baker makes a total of 160 dozen regular muffins, mini muffins, and jumbo muffins for his stores each day. He makes twice as many regular muffins as mini muffins, and 5 times as many jumbo muffins as mini muffins. How many of each does he make? Well, let's start out with the fact that we know he has a total of 160 dozen regular muffins, mini muffins, and jumbo muffins together. So we could say that if we use R for regular muffins, M for mini muffins, and J for jumbo muffins, we would say that R plus M plus J, each of those are going to make a total of 160 dozen. Now let's look at the next sentence. He makes twice as many regular muffins as mini muffins. That's going to be an equation, but be very, very careful. Look at the previous problem. The home team got 4 times as many tickets as the visiting team. So it was clear that that the home team was going to get more. And how many more? It's going to be 4 times more than the visiting team. So it was H equals 4 times V. That's what you always need to ask yourself when you're setting up these equations. Which one's going to have more? He makes twice as many regular muffins as mini muffins. So he's going to have more regular muffins than mini muffins. How many more? Twice as many more. So it's going to be the regular muffins are going to equal twice as many as the mini muffins. Now, a lot of times when you first read this, the way it's worded, he makes twice as many regular muffins as mini muffins. You might say, oh, well, it's going to be twice as many regular. Well, it's going to be 2R. That's not what it means. So you need to look at it as the fact that which one is going to be more? Well, it's going to be twice as many regular, so there's going to be more regular muffins. So the regular muffins are going to be equal to twice as many mini muffins, so it'll be 2m. So let's apply that now to the next part of the sentence. There's going to be 5 times as many jumbo muffins as mini muffins. So again, which one's going to have more? Is there going to be more jumbo muffins, or is there going to be more mini muffins? Well, there's going to be more jumbo muffins, 5 times as many. 5 times as many of the mini muffins. So now what we're going to do is we're going to substitute. We're going to substitute, because I know r is the same as 2m, so I'm going to put 2m in here for r. I know j is the same as 5m, so I'm going to put 5m in there for j, and the m is going to remain the same. So my equation would look like this. 2m plus m plus 5m equals 160. So I did this so you can see where we're getting these from, where we're getting these substitutions from. Now we can just add these together. Well, 2m plus m is 3m's, plus another 5m, well that's 8m's, equals 160. Divide both sides by 8, well, 160 divided by 8 gives me 20. So that means he's going to make 20 dozen mini muffins. So now to go to figure out how many regular muffins, we said that the regular muffins was twice as many mini muffins, so 2 times 20 means that we would have 40 regular muffins. And lastly, to figure out how many jumbo muffins there are, well, it's going to be 5 times as many of the mini muffins, so 5 times 20 means that we would have 100 dozen jumbo muffins. Let's add these together and make sure that equal 160. Sure enough, 100 plus 40 is 140, plus 20 would be 160. So together they make a total of 160 dozen muffins. Okay, why don't you guys take a minute to solve this story problem. It says Trevian Stadium has a seating capacity of 4,216. There are 4 times as many lower level seats as there are upper level seats, and there are 3 times as many mezzanine seats as there are upper level seats. How many seats of each type are there? So why don't you guys go ahead and work this problem out. So why don't you pause the video and hit play when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, so well, first off, a lot of people always ask, what does mezzanine mean? Mezzanine essentially just means the middle level. So when they say the upper level and lower level seats, the mezzanine seats are the ones, would be a balcony or a level in between the lower and upper level. Okay, but just like the previous one, we know that there's a total of 4,216, so we're going to start out by saying that the number of lower level plus upper level plus the middle level seats are going to equal 4,216. And when it says there are 4 times as many lower level seats as there are upper level seats, there's going to be more lower level seats. How many times more? 4 times as many as the upper level. And as far as the mezzanine seats, there's going to be more of those as well. There are 3 times as many mezzanine seats as there are upper level. So it's going to be 3 times U. So now we're going to substitute each of these in. So for U, we put in for L, 3U. We put that in for M. So when you do that, you get 4U plus U plus 3U equals 4,216. So when you add those together, you get HU equals 4,216, meaning you should have gotten 527 upper level seats. To figure out how many lower level seats there are, you would take 4 times that. And when you do that, you get that L is going to equal 2,108 lower level seats. And to figure out how many mezzanine or seats in the middle there's going to be, you would take 3 times the upper level, so 3 times 527, which gives me 1,581 mezzanine seats. So those would be my answers.